that loves books, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Friday! Today's video is going to be my Calia Read, my Surviving Trace series review, and the review for its spin-off, Belgrave Dynasty.
I forgot to mention I read these books because of Rachel from Rachel Reads and Sings, Sam from Sam Reads a Little, and Jess from Peace Love Books.
So if you wanted to get into that series, then this video is for you. The first book in that series is called Surviving Trace. And in Surviving Trace, we have Serene, who's from our time, 2017. And we start off the story when Serene has a dream about her stuck in a room, tied to a chair with this man's head on her lap, and the man has been shot. She wakes up from that dream, and that dream felt so real. Serene is an antique shop owner, and one day she finds an old picture, and the man from her dream was in that picture. So she goes home. She tells her fiance Will about the dream and the picture she found, but Will just tells her to forget about it because she is acting crazy. Like, it's just a dream. Why are you so attached to this picture? But when Will threw that picture into a fire, she tried to get it out with the stick thing. Well, no. She tries to get it out with those fireplace stick things. And then after she takes it out, the picture is damaged. But then she goes to sleep and she finds out she's in a mysterious house with a party going on, and she asks a girl from there, her name is Natalie. She asked Natalie, what year is it? And Natalie replied, 1913. All of a sudden, she sees this man who was in the picture, the man from her dreams, and she figures out that everyone from the past thinks she's this girl named Serene LaCroix with the man's wife, and she tries to get. The man's name is Etienne, and he's related to from one of the girl in the parties. The girl, she asks what the date is, and so Serene finds herself stuck in the past of presuming of the identity of the woman that she looks like, and Serene is trying to get Etienne to see that she is not really his wife, that she is from the future. Etienne doesn't believe her. She thinks she's crazy, but Serene tells Etienne that a tragedy is going to occur, that people are gonna die in said tragedy. And then the next day there is like a newspaper article about it, or a telegraph about it, so Etienne has no choice but to believe her, because how could she possibly know that was gonna happen? So Serene and Etienne try to figure out a way to send Serene back into her time, but as Serene and Etienne spend time together, they are beginning to develop feelings, even though Serene is engaged. And then she time travels again, this time back to the future. She learns something about Etienne and his siblings, that they're gonna die in a fire. Etienne and his sister. Livingston, his twin brother, is okay because he wasn't in the house at the time of the fire. So she goes back. She warns Etienne about this incident, this fire that's going to occur in Belgrave. And so they warn people out of Belgrave to try to save everybody's life. And by this point, Etienne's sister Natalie and Livingston know that Serene is a different Serene, because she's totally different from how the Serene she was before. So they tell them the truth about Serene being from the future. And all of a sudden, chaos ensues in the house, and Serene is back in her dream, where she's trapped in a room, and Etienne is on her lap. And so she realizes, because the house is on fire, and this was the day of the house fire, so people are already evacuated. But so the fire doesn't happen, but they go back to the house for some reason. I forgot what reason it is. And there was a gunman in the house, and Serene and Etienne are back in the same dream that Serene had a while ago, when the first book started. When the book started, Serene is tied to a chair, and Etienne is on. No, Serene is not tied to a chair. Serene is in front of the gunman, and Etienne and Serene gets a hold of the gun for some reason, and she, instead of anything happen to Etienne, she shoots the gunman. And then at the end, Serene goes back to her own time. And book 2 occurs when Serene is going in the future, trying to get back. Book 2 is called The Reigning and the Rule. Serene is in the future trying to get back to Etienne, but she realized her actions in the past caused her family to be different somehow. I will not tell you the name of the shooter because it affects the story. And she's just trying to go back to the past. And when she does eventually go back to the past, but when she returns to the past, she finds out that Etienne is engaged to someone else. I gave book 1, Surviving Trace, 5 stars, and I gave book 2, 4 stars. Because there's this back and forth between Serene and Etienne, where Serene wants Etienne to call the engagement off, but Etienne is too scared. What if Serene time travels again? Like, they'll never be in the same place at the same time. But their connection and their love and the fact that they love each other can't be denied. So eventually Etienne does break off the engagement, but I think it took way too long for him to break up the engagement, so I gave this book 4 stars. And in book 2, we find out that in book 2 we find, remember how I said that Serene's family is so different from how they were in the past because she changed something? But in book 2, we find out the reason she's so different, her family is so different, is because there's another family member that affects changes in her family, like her great-great-grandmother. We find out that something is supposed to happen to her great-great-grandmother, and her great-great-grandmother is supposed to die, but Serene tells Etienne, like, they cannot do anything about her death because if we change something like we did the first time, there'll be consequences, and we just don't know what's going to happen. But Etienne cannot leave the past where it is, so they try to save her, and they do. So that's happening with Etienne and Serene. In the meantime, Natalie, Etienne's younger sister, is married to someone else because Natalie is in love with Etienne's best friend Asa, but she's sick and tired of waiting for Asa to make a move, so that's going on with her. Meanwhile, Livingston, Etienne's brother, just being Livingston. So, back to Serene and Etienne. They do something that helps Serene's great-great-grandmother, and their good deed that helped save Serene's great-great-great-grandmother's life causes Etienne to be the one to travel to the future instead of Serene going back. And then in book 2, that's how book 2 ended. Book 2 is called Reigning in the Rule, and book 1 is called Surviving Trace. Book 3 is the Echoes of Time, is the conclusion to Serene and Etienne's story. So as I said before, Serene and Etienne are in the future, and we find out Serene is pregnant. But I don't want to tell you what happens with that because it's going to be a spoiler. I don't want to tell you if she has the baby or not because that will spoil the whole story. That's a big part of it. But while they're in the future, Etienne sees all the stuff that Serene was telling him about, like the internet, like fast cars, TV in color, so Etienne finds this fascinating. But while they're in the future, a lot of bad things are happening in the past. Like Etienne's brother was attacked. They're in danger of losing the family house. And Etienne and Serene know none of that. The only reason they know something is going on is because they went to familytree.com or something, and they typed in Serene, Etienne siblings' names, and they find out some really bad things that are happening to them, so they try to go back. And when they do go back,
bad things are happening to Etienne's siblings.
They find out that Livingston has been attacked, and the house stuff situation, and Natalie finds that Serene is pregnant, but in the middle of all that, Etienne says, "What are you gonna do? You can't go back anymore." And Serene says, "I don't care. Whatever time I get to have you, that's the time I'll live in." So Serene chooses to stay in the past. In book 3, we also find out that Serene from the past is still there, and there's a situation because two Serenes cannot exist in the same timeline. So that's a big problem. And that's all I'm gonna say for book 3 because I don't want to spoil anything. Those are all the 3 books in the Surviving Trace series. And the next 2 books I'm gonna talk about is the Belgrave dynasty. And book 1, King of the South, is Livingston's story. Livingston Livingston and Rainey. Rainey is another one of Natalie's best friends. Rainey's brother dies in the war, and there was a message in the will saying she has a dowry, and in order to inherit the dowry, she has to marry someone. And she finds out that her family is basically broke, and she finds out the executor of the will is Livingston. Rainey doesn't like Livingston. She thinks he's a playboy, and Livingston could care less if Rainey marries, but as a favor to his best friend, he's determined to help find her a husband. They asked Serene for help to find some suitors for Rainey, but so Serene does this bachelor type setting to find her a husband, and as this process goes on, we see that Rainey has always had secret feelings for Livingston, and Livingston sees that there's more to Rainey than being his best friend's little sister, that he's attracted to her, and he doesn't want her to be married to anyone else. I give this book 4 stars because, I give this book 3 stars because it took Livingston way too long to realize his feelings for Rainey. And that's book 1 in the Belgrave dynasty, Livingston story. Book 3 is about Natalie and Asa. And we know that Natalie is married, but in King of the South, we discover that her husband dies. And in her story, she goes back to Asa to tell him that she has feelings for him. But as she goes back, Asa's in a church about to get married.
Book 2 is called Lady Guardian. I don't know how to pronounce the name. Gouldian.
Yes, she's involved, but we discovered that Asa's wife is not who she claims to be, and that's all I'm gonna say. I gave this book 3 stars. I really like the present aspect of Asa and Natalie's story, but there was just too many flashbacks for me. But I am excited for part 2 of Asa and Natalie's story. It's gonna come during the winter times soon. This is my series review for Calia Read's Surviving Trace and the Belgrave Dynasty. I would appreciate it so much if you would subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment down below if you have read Calia Read stories before. I'll see you Monday. Bye.